our next performer, and also the last one who will present his lecture or paper today is Carlos Alonso Pérez Fajardo. And Carlos is an art historian and curator. Well, he has studied law and art history and also cultural management. So, we met Carlos some years back. He was in Tallinn in relation to one another exhibition on Zuluaga. And then it was a very fortunate coincidence that it appeared that we had started our Sittow in the North project. And he informed us that there was, so to say, Sittow in the South project going on in Spain. And of course, this project in Spain is much wider, or it's very interdisciplinary, and it includes a larger scope of themes. And but maybe we could say that it focuses on the periods of these two rulers, Isabel of Castile and Fernando of Aragon, to their period of power. And so this has a links to Michel Sittow. Carlos, you will tell us more about this project, about this the context and how it treats art and what it discusses all more. Thank you. The floor is yours. Thank you.
So, thank you, Greta, for your very kind words, and thank you, Niguliste, Eesti Kunstimuuseum, for organizing this incredible conference in the frame of this amazing research effort and exhibition that you've put together with Sittow in the North. So, as Greta explained, I'm working with a research project, let's say. I have to explain these things because they are a bit more complicated. I'm here on behalf of more than the research project, which has already ended, this one, the research team. And let me explain this a little bit more. Okay, so as you see, it's not a single research project that we're looking at. It's already 10 years of a stream of projects, a sustained effort of a group of researchers which interdisciplinary look into a very specific subject, which is not very specific, very wide subject, but still they look into these topics from very different angles. The subject of this research project always revolves around power, persuasion, and art during the period of the Catholic kings. Here I brought this very flattering portrait of Jean de Flandre, or by Jean de Flandre, of our dear Queen Isabella of Castile, which is very meaningful to us because it's the founding queen of our monarchy. So the first time that we can talk about Spain, it's under the rule of this lady and her husband. And they united Spain. Not only that, they finished with the reconquest, horrible term, reconquest of the peninsula from the Arab kingdoms, and they also started the conquest of America. So you can imagine the scope and the size of these kind of political institutions. So, okay, this is the research team. As you can see, there are some familiar names there. We have our Greta Koppel there, and we have our Matthias Menninger as well. The lead researchers are Mati Miquel and Olga Pérez Monzón, and they sent me here. They couldn't come, unfortunately, but they sent me here with two very clear messages. One, that they would have loved to be here. They want to congratulate you. They are following everything that's going on. Actually, I had a 2-hour call yesterday so that I could brief them on what was going on here, what you were explaining. So that was the first thing. Congratulations on their behalf, and hopefully they will be here very soon. The second thing that they said, it was for me, Carlos, don't discuss history of art because you are not a 15th century or 16th century specialist, so rather don't discuss history of art, but still I'm going to explain what we are dealing with in Spain. So this is the whole research team, not the whole of them. There are some people missing that help us at times. You see there's a big chunk of art historians which not only look specifically into painting or into sculpture, but there are very transversal researchers there about the market, about the networks, about the usage of power, about iconography, etc. And there's also the Institute of Cultural Heritage of Spain. These are scientists and specialists in image and chemistry and making everything possible. So I told you the subject of this ongoing effort, which is still an ongoing effort, was the usage of power, persuasion, propaganda, etc. And that's the subject. The object of our research, of our researches, are these kind of places. So this is the Chapel of Santiago, Cathedral of Toledo, and it's one of these places that we have in Spain, these kind of monumental ensembles in which everything is still in place, which is a really luxurious place to look into how art worked in terms of persuasion, in terms of propaganda, because everything relates. So we have everything in place. We have sculpture where it was designed to be. We have painting where it was decided to be. We have architecture surrounding the whole thing in a complete program. And that gives us a very precise perspective on how everything was entangled. Okay? This chapel wasn't properly studied until Matilde and Olga convinced the dean of the Toledo Cathedral to open it for us. We will discuss that later. But as I was saying, we have all the elements here. We also have the documents. So we have the contracts. So we can exactly look at what the artists were asked for. And beyond the contracts, we have the context. The context of this chapel is a great story, and we will talk about stories later, not only about history, about stories. It's a great story, a story about falling in disgrace, redemption, everything. So whenever we look into these kind of places, chapels, complete chapels, with the whole perspective, we think that we have all the information available. But still, as we are very ambitious, we conducted scientific tests on almost every element. So that's why I was focusing before on our scientific department, scientific like physics and chemistry department, because they were able to get X-rays, reflectographies, and high-quality images of each and every element of the chapel. That, of course, provided with a cornucopia of data that we could analyze. Getting to X-ray and altarpiece in situ, not the easiest thing to do. So yes, in fact, it was quite a mess. But we looked into it because when these altarpiece, the paintings, the panels were inspected, art historians, in this visual inspection, what we can see, realized that as much as we had a contract, very precise contract, with two painters, there were three authors there. And I'm cutting straight to the chase. When we started investigating these panels and we had the images of the underlying drawings, we found out the following. Sorry, because it might change again. Okay, so here's the altarpiece. You see, in blue we have the paintings that we can clearly attribute to Sancho de Zamora, also known as the Luna Master. We know that is the Luna Master because the style is that of the Luna Master, and now we have his name in the contract. The green ones we can attribute to Juan de Segovia, also known as the Miraflores Master. We know that because we have the contract. And what about those red ones? Okay, those red ones, the two Johns, they are from an unknown master, and when we saw the underlaying painting, we realized that he was so much better than not only these very prestigious Spanish or Hispanic masters, but he was really in the elite of European painting. And so the discussion arose. Matthias was involved in this debate, and we thought that maybe we were at or in front of the first works by our very Michel Sittow, which could have come with Memling during the installation of the Nájera altarpiece, and was here working incognito. But not only who was the best master here, whenever we analyzed the whole thing, we realized that he was the one providing the canon, providing the model for the other two masters that changed their own paintings in order to adapt to the structures, models, canons that were being deployed by this mysterious painter, let's say Michel Sittow. So here we are at the beginning of this Michel Sittow in the south discovery. As you can imagine, the whole chapel provided with many other studies. We looked into many of the topics that we have discussed during these conferences. Kertu was just talking about crypto-landscaping. Yes, crypto-landscaping. So whenever you have crypto-landscaping in a certain context in this chapel, what does that mean? Or crypto-portraits. We discussed that the first day when we were looking at these very specific portraits that we see in sculptures. Those are people. Those are not just standardized faces. So not only we see that those were people, we know who those people were. So whenever they are depicted as something else than themselves, what does that mean? This whole structure of power, this whole propaganda mechanism is what the research project is about, and it's an ongoing research project. So this is where this Michel Sittow in the South project started, and we will come back to that. As part of this effort, discussing with Matti and Olga, and this is where I come in the project, we were a bit concerned about all of this effort not making it to the public, not making it to the society. It's a huge effort, and there are some groundbreaking conclusions here. And if we are not able to make this common knowledge, then we are making something wrong. So, as you see, there are many publications which have to do with this research effort, the last of which are, let me see if this changes. Hey, these ones, which are in open access. So in that website, this one, Politics, Arts, and Persuasion in the 15th Century Castile, it's specifically on the case study that I just explained, only properly explained. So you have there the documents, you have there the whole research, and you have there it's an open access internet book, and it has videos, so we even have behind the scenes in case you are wondering how they did all of those tests, and if the guys that went behind the altarpiece to put the panels are still alive. These kind of questions, you can answer them right there. So these ones already online, and we will soon publish the other one, which has to do with a little congress, online congress that we held on another of these topics that arises when we are looking at the broader subjects, the copy and its uses or its meanings. If you see the picture in the cover, in case it rings any bell, it's a tapestry of Isabella of Castilla. So what other problem did we find other than the issue with not getting to public only through scientific publications? These two open access publications, they are really accessible for everyone. But what other problem did we find? We found that the normal state of this incredible monumental ensemble, artistic ensemble chapel is this. You can't visit it. It's closed. Why is it closed? We just addressed these problems. These are works that belong to the church. It's not a problem of the church. It's a general problem with cultural heritage. We usually, especially countries that have a lot of cultural heritage everywhere, they just stop caring. So who cares? It's just another drop on the ocean of the Toledo Cathedral that around the corner has Tizian, Greco, Goya, and Caravaggio. No problem. So this is just another thing. Why bother, right? So as I told you, Mati and Olga, they are really good at persuasion as well. So they persuaded the Toledo Cathedral to open and to allow this inspection. We will talk later about what else we got from the Toledo Cathedral, or we will get from the Toledo Cathedral. We will see. But first, let me drag your attention to another of these incredible spaces. The breathtaking chapel of the Carthusian monastery in Burgos of Miraflores. Carthusians are the most secluded, austere, severe order out there. So it's not dealing with the deans, it's dealing with the monks. But still, we actually convinced them somehow, and they let us study the whole thing. This wasn't commissioned like the previous example by this condestable of the king. This was the queen herself doing the burial pantheon of her parents, and thus it's one of the most impressive displays of power and chromatic and mottos out there. Unfortunately, as much as there are lots of original elements, specifically the elements that are still stuck there, there are not this place was accompanied by a not less impressive collection of works of art, many of which are spread throughout the world. And one of the challenges that we are trying to face here is how many of these works of art were there? Can we find all of them? And most importantly, how did it work? So these places, they work together. Every artistic element works together. That's why we are looking at. So we are going to find the elements, we are going to see how they were placed, and we are going to see how it worked, the whole thing. Concerning this, we need to get this to the public effort. We asked the the Carthusian monks about a piece that had been missing for 30-something years. It was a little ecce homo that was shown in Europalia 1986 exhibition in Brussels. It was stolen there. Good story as well. We got it back and the monks made it disappear. Normal practice in the Carthusian monasteries, it would have been normal that they had sent that to France or to somewhere else. And so we asked about this painting and finally they said, oh, yes. And we were having wine there and some cheese with the monks, and in they come with this. Juan de Flandes, Ecce Homo. It used to be part of the beautiful altarpiece that you just saw, huge altarpiece by Gil de Siloé. And so we saw it, they had it there, and somehow we convinced them that it was a crime not to show that to the public. And there we found ourselves in a beautiful challenge, because what I'm doing here is kind of research. How could we explain this as best as possible? How can this be as meaningful as possible? We are dealing here with very, very important subjects for our identity. I spoke about Isabel of Castilla, Michel Sittow, 15 years ago. Was just a name in books of history of art. Right now, it's the national painter of Estonia. That's your effort, in fact. And so building this whole identity thing and meaningful thing with these works of art, how do we do that? So when we got this in front of ourselves, this little oil and wood, it's like an A4 paper, more or less, and we convinced the monks, we have to show this. They said, okay, we will show it. You tell us how we are going to show it. And and there we started a really beautiful process in which that's the museological kind of challenge, how we are going to show this. We have loads of information, we conducted every test, we have all of these images of reflectographies, X-rays, all kind of tests, and then we have the work of art. We can't place it back because the place where it was settled, let me show you, was there in the middle of the altarpiece. Now it was substituted in the late 17th century probably, and so we can't put it back. So we can do something more interesting, see how it works. And this is where the whole story comes in. So what story do we want to tell with this piece, right? So just imagine if I had the piece and then I had a quote from Queen Isabella ordering the monks to take care of her parents, then the story would be about Queen Isabella. And the work would serve Queen Isabella's story. If we had that very same work of art and we had a quote of some important art historian or contemporary painter or something like that, then the story would be about the painter. And if we had a biblical quote, or a quote from San Bruno, the founder of the order, or something like that, then it would be about what's depicted there. It would be about compassion, it would be about religion, it would be about catechism. Funny thing, we go with this project, we finally get an extra space in the museum, so we have our own chapel only for this piece, and everything's going more or less smoothly, and then the prior of the Carthusian monastery calls me, says, "Listen, come, I need to talk to you." The great Carthusian monastery of Grenoble called. They said that they are very interested in the project, but that the work should serve compassion interests. So that work should talk about other things as well, the queen, whatever stories you want to tell, but most importantly, it should talk about us, about the very strict, desertic, silent order of the Carthusians. Another curveball there. Of course, they are the owners. So after thinking a lot, we decided that we are going to let the painting work by itself. We have designed a space. I will show you. Here, this is the space that they gave us, and we designed the space. That little square there, let me show you here better. It's the painting. And we are not going, or we are going to try to make people see the work before telling them anything. So see how it works by itself. Because the moment we tell them something, then we are going to turn the story one side or the other. This whole area here would be, whenever you exit, the place where we will tell people about our research, our story, everything. We will see how we manage that as well. We live in a moment in which immersive experiences are all over the place. Let's see how immersive it is to let you all by yourself in front of that Ecceomo. So that's right now what we're looking at. But this is another important part of this research project. What do we do with all of that research that we've been seeing throughout this conference? What we art historians do. So, to finish and to wrap it up, back to Toledo. That's our little chapel back there. And we are trying to see through this Sittow in the South project thoroughly. So there is already a project to restore and to clean the altarpiece of Santiago in the Luna Chapel. And let's hope, and that's what I would like to finish with, and what it would have been a great result after our first meeting there, where I said, hey, I know this Michel Sittow, we're working with him. And so call Greta Koppel immediately. And she came down immediately. And after that effort, let's see if, hopefully, we can, after this beautiful Sittow in the North exhibition, put together a Sittow in the South exhibition. There are lots of ongoing research on Sittow. Many of the paintings that were pointed out by Matthias, we are looking into them, we are analyzing them, and these panels of the chapel will be cleaned. Let's see if we can have them, hopefully, here sometime more or less soon for a Sittow in the South exhibition, and maybe put together another conference so we could gather again. Thank you very much.